Today, we are talking about triggers, those experiences in your life that make you overreact or spiral or make you feel like, how is this still affecting me? I should have healed this by now. I should be further along by now. And then you hit yourself and you beat yourself up. We are going to talk about how you can completely shift your perspective on your triggers and how they can actually be the biggest catalyst for your healing and your growth. I'm so excited for this episode, so let's get into it. Welcome to the Live Unrestricted podcast, a show where you'll learn how to heal your relationship with food and your body so that you can focus your time and energy on more important things like your personal growth. I'm your host, Sabrina Magna, food freedom coach, and my mission is to help make your life happier and healthier without stress, overwhelm, or guilt about food. If you love the show, please do go out and share it. And if you're looking for support with your relationship with food, details about my programs are in the show notes. Thanks for spending time with me today. Now let's jump in. I had two experiences over the past week that taught me such important lessons about triggers and how to change my relationship with my triggers and how to let go of this constant need to control, this grasping for control that is rooted in fear and anxiety and shame. And I know that this is going to be so helpful for you because so much of disordered eating and body image issues stem from this need for control. And it is driven by this crippling fear and anxiety. And I know that if I could go back to me 10 years ago, I would have needed someone to talk about this because it really does feel, the way that I describe it, it feels like you have a straitjacket that's like holding you so tightly that you're unable to break free from. So I am so excited to do this episode, to record it. I love being able to share real-time lessons that I'm learning in my life that I know is going to translate to yours and make your life better and easier. So let me set the scene, all right? Over the past week, I was invited to a new hotel launch here in Montreal. So just to give you some context, because this is a story that's actually so crazy and it blows my mind how the universe rearranged some things to make this happen. So for context, me and a couple of my business friends who live all over the place. So one lives in Pittsburgh, one lives in BC. We've just been talking about how it would be so great for them to come and visit me here in Montreal, because one of them, Ellie, used to live in Montreal, and the other one, Rebecca, has never been to Montreal. And I love this city. And so we've been talking about how it would be so fun to have a girls' weekend here. And we were already talking, this was at the beginning of the year, how doing it in the fall would be really ideal. So then as the year went on, things got really busy. And we just never got around to planning it and to really make it happen. So then a couple of months ago, my friend Rebecca sends me a message and says, "You will never believe this, but someone who I used to be in a mastermind with, she lives in Montreal and she's a real estate developer. And she is launching the first ever human design hotel in the world." If you're not familiar with human design, it's this system of understanding your energy and how you operate and working with the way that you are designed so that you're not constantly just trying to operate the way that someone else operates and then feeling frustrated that it's not working for you, but actually knowing how you best operate so that you can work with it and have more ease and have more flow and alignment. So I have been into human design for a couple of years now. And so when I heard this, I was like, what? How are they going to do a human design hotel? Like, what does that even mean? But all this to say, her friend had reached out to both my friend Rebecca and my friend Ellie, because they had all been in a mastermind together, to come and be VIP guests for this launch, which means, and there was only 8 VIP guests, by the way. So this means that she was going to invite them over and lodge them and feed them and just take care of them for the weekend. And it was in the fall. It was beginning of November. So this was so serendipitous that you cannot believe in coincidences here. And it's not like Rebecca and Ellie are best friends with this real estate developer. They just happened to be in a mastermind together. So they ended up coming to Montreal last weekend for this launch, and I was super lucky to be able to go as their +1 and participate in the opening and the launch of this hotel. And it was so much more than just like a normal real estate launch. Human design is very spiritual, and Maya, who is the real estate developer, is extremely spiritual, and she has these incredible values. And I feel so blessed to have spent 2 days in the presence of incredible speakers, incredible people, such a wonderful community that I am now really happy that I know about here in Montreal and feel connected to and feel like I've really met my people. And within this experience, I had 2 situations that taught me so much and that pushed me on my edge of my comfort zone. And I wanted to share them with you because I know that they will be very valuable for you as well, because these are things that all of us struggle with. This need for control and the frustration that we feel when we get triggered by things that we are actively trying to work through, or we thought that we had healed, and then it comes back into our life, and then we're so much more frustrated because we're like, fuck, I thought that this was done. I thought I was over, like, feeling these negative emotions around this. So I'm going to start with experience and lesson number 1. And this happened on Wednesday night a week ago. So this was the night before the launch actually started on Thursday. And my friends had flown into the city, so they were now here. And Maya, the real estate developer and the one who was organizing all of this, had organized a dinner for some members of her team, as well as some of the VIP guests, so that everyone could get to meet each other and mingle before the launch actually started. And I was invited to come along and come to this dinner. This happened very last minute. It was originally supposed to be just Rebecca, Ellie, and I going out to dinner to celebrate Rebecca's birthday. And I got the text message on Wednesday at about 5:00 that we were all going to go out to dinner as a group. And I started feeling such intense dysregulation and anxiety, and this feeling that I don't belong. At this dinner, there was going to be some people, some women that I really look up to, women that I follow on Instagram who were speakers at this event, and women that I see as quote unquote ahead of me or more successful than me. And, you know, if we're going to put it in really basic terms, quote unquote, better than me. So that triggered a lot within me. And I started to feel like this is a pity invite. They don't want you here. You're going to be the odd man out. It's going to be so awkward. They're going to wonder why you're even at this dinner. I don't even know the real estate developer, Maya, who organized this event. Like, guys, I have to tell you, the thoughts that were coming up in my mind were so incredibly negative. And I can feel it all over my body right now, how I felt. I hadn't felt that way in so long. And at first, I was really hard on myself. I was like, what are you doing right now? Like, why are you thinking this way? And then I would also have this other voice of my ego that was super convincing, trying to tell me, just don't go. Just don't go to this dinner. You can opt out. You can say you're sick, or you can say you're not feeling well and just decide not to go. It's going to be easier to stay home. That was the thought that I kept repeating. And it wasn't me, it was my ego that was trying to protect me from feeling negative emotions, possible negative emotions that were made up in my mind. Just don't go. It's going to be easier to stay home. And how many times have you had your ego trying to convince you that something is going to be easier if you just don't do it? Just don't go to that dinner. It's going to be easier not to be exposed to all that food. Don't go to that event. It's going to be easier to not have to get dressed up and possibly not feel good in your body or be around people. Just don't go. It's going to be easier to do this. And I'm not going to lie, I have those thoughts more often than you think. I have those thoughts a lot. If I were to just listen to what feels easier and what feels more comfortable in the moment, I would be a huge hermit. It's easier for me to stay home. It is easier for me to not make an effort to go out and be social. I actually have to put in quite an effort to decondition that and to push myself to do the thing that I don't necessarily want to do, because I'm not saying do things that you don't want to do, but oftentimes do things that you know are going to require a little bit more effort and getting out of your comfort zone, because you always are happy that you did. And a life of staying at home and being a hermit and not connecting with other humans and not having new experiences and not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is not a life. I know that it feels easier and I know that it is more comfortable, but when I've had a week where I did listen to that voice that told me just stay home, it's going to be better that way, you're going to have more fun that way, it's easier that way, and I just don't see any human beings and I don't have any new experiences, I never look back on those weeks and think, wow, that was such a fulfilling week. I'm so happy with how I spent that week. That's never happened. Now, of course, are there times when you are burnt out and your nervous system is like crying for rest and actually staying home and recharging and filling up your cup is necessary? Absolutely. But there's a difference between I actually need this and this is going to fill me up so that I can show up in the world differently versus this is just easier to do to stay home and isolate. So that ego voice was extremely loud. And I will be fully honest, I was this close to listening and saying, you know what, I'm just going to text them and say, I don't feel well, I'm not going to go. What I did instead is I sat on my couch and I put a hand on my heart and another hand on my belly, and I took a few deep breaths and I connected with myself and I tuned inwards. And I noticed what was coming up for me. This fear of being the odd man out. This fear of having the pity invite. Of everyone else being more successful than I was. Of people wondering why I'm even there. Like I just listened. I took out my journal and I wrote down what was happening. And why this was really helpful is because I needed to create distance between me and my thoughts. I needed to be able to look at them objectively because I know after all of the work that I've done that just because I think something, it doesn't make it true. And another piece of this, which was just icing on the cake, was that this dinner was at a very fancy, expensive, fine dining restaurant in Montreal that would have never been on my radar. I am very low key. I don't need fancy things. Sometimes I like them, but like I'm really low maintenance. If you saw, like, I buy a lot of my clothes secondhand because I don't really care. So this triggered a lot of insecurities, financial insecurities of like, you don't belong there. And this I want to touch on for a second, because when you make a decision that you want to upgrade in your life, that you have this goal that you are now energetically behind. Let's say you've made a decision that you want to experience expansion in your life. Maybe you want to finally be someone who has food freedom. Maybe you want to make more money or grow your business or get a promotion in your job, or you want to become that person who is confident dating, for example. When you make that energetic decision in your life that you want something different, what is going to happen is it's not just going to be given to you overnight. What's going to happen is that the universe will put certain experiences in your life to show you things that you have to let go of in order to become that person who can hold that goal. So let's say you have made the energetic decision that you want to become someone who has a healthy relationship with food. You want to become someone who is an intuitive eater. Then what's going to happen is you might notice that you experience more triggers, that you experience more difficult situations that challenge you. Because those experiences are there to show you things within yourself that you have to let go of in order to transform your identity. So it might be that someone will make a comment about your weight, or someone will make a comment about what you're eating, and it will feel extremely triggering. And in that moment, when I was consumed by anxiety and dysregulation, and I have all of these thoughts of this is a pity invite, no one's going to want you there. And that brought up a lot of old wounds, like things that I thought that I have worked through, especially when it came to friendships and social situations, because I think I've talked about it on the podcast, but I used to have this belief that I was never wanted anywhere, and that anytime I was in a social situation, it was a pity invite, and that everyone was talking about me behind my back. Like it was a whole thing. And I really thought that I had healed that, because I have such beautiful friends now in Montreal, and I feel really confident in who I am and what I have to bring in my capacity as a friend. So this brought up a lot of old wounds. And I, for a millisecond, was like, what the F? I thought that I had worked through this, and now it's coming back. And then my higher self came online. And by journaling and taking a few deep breaths and just being present and pausing, I realized these triggers are a gift. These triggers are here for me. This is not something that's happening to me. These are a gift because they are showing me things within myself that I still get to heal in order to evolve into more and more of the person that I am meant and capable of being. Because my life goal is just to continue letting go of the patterns and the beliefs and the experiences and the thoughts and the emotions that I have that are not true, that are not mine, and that are limiting my capacity to be in alignment. Because no matter what experiences you had in childhood, no matter how good your life was, how good your parents were, how good your friends were, you will inevitably pick up certain beliefs about yourself that are not serving you. And so your soul's evolution is to shed those beliefs that are holding you back. So you will be presented with situations that push you against the edge of your comfort zone, the edge of who you believe that you are. And for me in that situation, when I switched and I started looking at this as, okay, wonderful. These triggers are a gift. They are showing me things within myself that I still get to heal. What can I learn here? This is beautiful because it means that I'm growing. It means that I am being pushed towards the edge of my comfort zone. So for me, the biggest thing was that this dinner was with these people that I saw as more successful than me. And I saw myself as not belonging. Like, I'm not as successful as them. Therefore, I don't belong in a room like that. So first of all, I just want to say that's not even true. Like, it's not even true. Once I got to that dinner, I realized that all of these beliefs that I had created in my mind weren't even remotely true. So that's the first piece, is your mind is constantly lying to you. And the second piece was, wow, this is so beautiful, because I have these goals, these big goals that I am working towards right now in my life, of expansion in my capacity to help people, in my impact, in my success. So this is showing me that I still don't see myself as someone who belongs in a room of successful people. Therefore, there is some work to do on my identity as someone who is impactful, who is successful, who is doing a lot of good in the world, in order to first become that person, and then you get the result. Oftentimes, we think that we're going to get the result, we're going to get the goal, and then we're going to change as a person, we're going to change our identity. But the thing is, you will never get the goal if you don't change your identity first, if you don't change the way you perceive yourself, because the world and the universe will never give you something that you cannot handle. So what did I do in that moment? I recognized what was happening. I recognized that I was feeling these emotions and I was thinking these thoughts, and I can take action regardless. I went to that dinner even though part of me didn't want to. And it's not my higher self and my soul that didn't want to. Like, I knew this is not the type of thing where it's like you actually have to listen to your energy. No, my energy was saying, this is your soul's expansion. This is going to push you outside of your comfort zone. It was my ego. I could hear it. I could sense it. I knew. I was like, no, this is just my ego telling me to stay home because it's easier. So I went anyways, because I knew, and you've heard me say this time and time again on this podcast, that your nervous system learns through experience. And what often happens is that a lot of you are stopping yourself from getting the experience that's going to give you proof and evidence that whatever you need to do is safe. So I knew that I need to go in order to show myself that it is safe to be around new people who I see as more successful than me. Because if I'm going to continue expanding and being more successful and having more impact, that's going to happen a lot. And if I keep stopping myself from going in those situations, I'm not going to grow. So I need to show myself that it's safe. I need to show myself that I belong. I need to show myself that I'm not the odd man out. So I went, and what do you know? That's exactly what happened. They were the most welcoming. No, there was no talk about like me being the odd man out. It wasn't awkward at all. People were so nice and so interesting and interested. And going to that, what it did is it showed me that all of these beliefs and thoughts that my ego brought up for me, all of these triggers that were brought up for me, weren't actually true. And even if they had been true, because this is another piece of it, because some of you might be like, But sometimes I have these fears and then they end up happening. Like someone does make a comment about my weight. Someone does make a comment about my eating. Like these things that I was afraid of do happen. So this is really important. And I hear you because I actually had the same thought. Before going out to dinner, I thought, you know what? Like this might happen. I might be the odd man out and this might be awkward and this might be really challenging and I might regret it. But here's the thing. I will either experience the sense of relief because the thing I was afraid of won't happen, or I will get a lesson out of it. I will get a challenging experience that will help me grow. When you go to the gym and you lift a heavier set of weights than you normally do, it's hard. It is challenging. Like your body doesn't want to do that. Your body doesn't want to lift something it's never lifted before. But if you want to get stronger, you have to push through that discomfort. And so if you want to heal and you want to grow, then it's through these triggering experiences that you get to slow down and tune inwards and ask yourself, how can I grow through this? Is there something here for me to let go of? For example, I had times, and I still have times, where people will make comments about my weight. Like that will happen. Doesn't matter if it's a good comment, a bad comment, like it will happen because that's just the life that we live in. But the difference is that I let go of my attachment to that years and years ago. Now, any comment about how I'm eating or the way that I look has zero emotional charge to it because I let go of that. And so if you are noticing there's still an emotional charge here, that's so beautiful because it's just showing you a way that you can let go of something. And it might not happen on the first experience or the second experience. I mean, I'm telling you that there are some things in my life currently that I'm working on letting go of. And I feel like I have been working on letting go of them for years at this point, and they're still triggering for me. But the way that I'm navigating that is every time this brings up negative emotions for me, I pause and I recognize what's happening. And the more I bring awareness to it and the more I focus on it and I try to dig into that, okay, what am I thinking right now? What's my perspective that's causing me to feel this way? I'm noticing that this is still coming up. So this means that since it's really coming up on the other side of this, where you have the most resistance to, has the most growth on the other side. So let me stick with this. Let me really pay attention to this, because something that feels really sticky in your life that has been triggering you for years or even decades, it doesn't mean that you are meant to struggle with this forever. It doesn't mean that this was like inputted into your DNA and this is just who you are. It just means that this is something that might run a little bit deeper, that might have a little bit more of those survival instincts attached to it. And that's okay. There are some things that might just require a little bit more digging and deconstructing. And I'm thinking if I have one specific thing in my life, I'll actually just tell you because I don't care. It's like full transparency. I have these really tough emotions around spending money. Spending money that is not related to my business. When it's related to my business, I'll spend the money on the new mic and the new equipment and the new software like any day of the week. When it comes to spending money on myself in any capacity, whether it's like paying rent or buying new clothes or whatever it is, I have these really tough emotions around it. Fear and scarcity. And again, like it's not rooted in the reality because I'm financially taken care of. And so this has been coming up for me over and over again. And so I am really deeply working on it. Every morning, I'm sitting down with that part of me that feels the fear and I'm journaling through it. And yeah, sometimes I'm like, man, this is annoying. A lot of people don't feel this way. Why do I have to feel this way? Why is it so hard for me? But at the end of the day, the more you resist something in your life, the harder it is to change it. Because the thing is, it's there. Like whether you like it or not, it's there. Whether you like it or not, it's challenging. So there's a certain point where there's this level of acceptance of, okay, this is how things are. So now what can I do about it? And if it takes a year of journaling on this every day, then it's going to take a year because I want to let go of this. And I know that I can, because I know that no matter who you are and what you've been through, you're capable of changing. And again, sometimes it's going to require a little bit more work and effort, but that's okay, because think about what's possible on the other side. And if I just need to work on this for the next year, and then I get to spend the next 60 years of my life with more freedom and more positive emotions around spending money on myself, personally, I think that is more than worth it. So that experience really solidified this idea that all of my triggers in my life, the things that create a sense of fear or anxiety or guilt or shame or low self-worth, they are there to teach me. They are there to heal me and show me pieces of me that I haven't healed yet. So how can you start living your life from that perspective? Because what you might realize is that you have a lot more agency in your life than you think. Because maybe there's a person in your life who's very triggering for you. And maybe it's your parent or a sister or a friend. And sometimes you can't get those people out of your life. Sometimes there are things that are outside of your control. But if there is still a trigger for you, then it's an opportunity to look inwards and ask, is there a boundary that I can set here? There are people in my life who are still in my life and I love very dearly, but who used to trigger me. And it was after enough years of being triggered that I realized, well, there are things in this situation that I can't control. So what can I control? And sometimes it's explicit boundaries, but sometimes it's an internal boundary. And setting those internal boundaries with myself set me free. It set me free, and it also changed my relationship with those people, because all of these internal expectations I had for them, I no longer had. Therefore, they couldn't disappoint me. So that's my first story around this experience that taught me so much about my triggers. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to release a part 2 where I'm going to go into the second experience that taught me about letting go of control, because I don't want to make this episode too long. I want to make this bite-sized so that it's easier for you to consume. So I'm going to release a part 2 of this little experience where I'm going to talk about letting go of control. So stay tuned. I'm not sure if that's going to come out in a few days or next week. So to be determined once I'm done recording, but I hope that this first part was really valuable and hopefully opened your eyes to a new way of thinking. And if it did, send it to someone in your life who could benefit, because I know that I really wish that I had looked at my triggers as a gift years ago. So send it to someone in your life. Send me a DM on Instagram at Sabrina Magno Health. My DMs are open. You know that I answer them. I'm there to hear you and hear what resonated with you. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you for part 2 of this story. Hey, real quick before you go, if you're loving this podcast and you're thinking, Sabrina, I want more. I want to go deeper. I want a step-by-step process for healing my relationship with food. I've got a free workshop that literally walks you through it. It's a full breakdown of the exact method that I use to help my clients stop binging, heal emotional eating, and finally feel at peace with food and their bodies. It's totally free. So if you're ready to stop feeling obsessed and out of control with food, head to sabrinamagnan.com/training or find the link in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you found it valuable, I would love if you would share it with someone you know that could benefit. If you're loving the show, don't forget to subscribe over on Apple Podcasts so you don't miss a single episode. I really love hearing feedback from you, so please leave a rating and review over on Apple to help us get in the ears of more people who need it the most. Finally, come hang out with me on Instagram at Sabrina Magnan Health for more educational content and get up close and personal with me. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode.